Hello everyone and welcome back to the Deplorable Batcave. Hosting today is me, Ison, because apparently Spark couldn't make it, which is alright with me, I suppose. We're going to start introducing from my left to my right, starting with Beggar.
Howdy ho, everybody.
And Bigfoot.
There's no stopping the sale of brain force.
Blippity Plop.
Tally ho.
Seawall 728.
Gay Frog 1 is down! Gay Frog 1 is down!
The new boy, Ed Boy.
Yo, what's poppin'?
And then we have the Asian.
The Jews control everything.
Blip, do you wish to comment on that statement?
Hulk Hogan. It was the Jews, brother.
Blip, would you like to comment on that station? On that statement?
Tore down the Holocaust museums.
Absolute jury. So, we'll start with the first topic of today, which is Gay Frog 1 is in fact down. Alex Jones has been removed from iTunes, Facebook, and YouTube so far.
And Spotify.
And Spotify. Rest in peace, InfoWars. Except, wait, no, they're InfoWars. They'll be fine.
They're on BitChute now, amazingly. And, well... Have you guys heard of something called the Streisand effect and what you're not supposed to do when you're trying to make something disappear?
This is not the Streisand effect. This is just, this is some kind of other one I'm trying to remember, actually. But fundamentally speaking, it's going to be absolute fucking nightmare for these people.
Oh, yeah.
Well, traffic
a
traffic
question.
to their website is only
Ed has a
going to-
question.
Has the apps from the Google Play Store and Apple been pulled yet, or has that been untouched? Because I haven't heard anything.
Do not know.
I believe there is some stuff going on with those. But I'm not entirely sure. I haven't looked into it myself too much. All I know is that
Wait, I can check it.
they are also trading in some very dangerous legal territory right now for them. Because you just fucked with a guy who's one step away from the president who already hates you guys. And last time I checked, he is he's in command of something called the Security Exchange Commission. And if he whispers the word antitrust investigation to them, your stock's going to drop like a fucking stone next day.
Yep, and with stuff like this, it's not going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but they just added about, 5 pitchforks worth of fucking straw to this thing. It's starting to get a little heavy.
Yeah,
By the way, I just checked on Google, the Google Play Store, and the InfoWars official app is still there.
Okay.
Same for Apple. The Apple one is there
Alright.
too.
I give it a week.
Right, I said because this will be interesting to get your stance on this, but they're a private company.
Oh, they are, and they have every right to do this, as far as I'm concerned. I also have every right to never fucking touch these platforms ever again.
I'm gonna have to disagree with Ison on this. They may be a private entity, but the problem is this kind of behavior is very, very similar to trust behavior, and trust behavior is something that is actually completely against. It will counter private business. The way they've acted in this very short period of time, as well as combined with other previous behavior, and the fact that they have financial ties to Alex Jones's competitors, that there are agreements and deals between these companies, actually puts them into an extremely dangerous trust territory.
Oh, trust aside,
Yeah.
doing stuff like this, I mean, if it continues, they're signing their own death warrants for being an
This
entire
kind of
platform.
stuff is...
They don't need to worry about having trust laws or not. What's going to happen going forward is either they're going to start undoing this kind of shit, or alternatives will rise. It is an inevitability. So we don't actually need to worry about stuff like that. The market will sort itself out, all well and good.
Are you sure about that, Ison? Because look what's happened here in terms of you've got what appears to be cartel-like behavior. All these groups banded together within a space of hours. They pretty much throw the ban cannon everywhere.
And combine that with both Democrats in Congress and the Senate.
Seawell, can I finish my
Sure,
point, please?
go ahead.
What makes this quite alarming is that within the public eye, they're still not seen in the same way as, say, a utility company like phone companies. They're seen as in a very different light based on public opinion, or at least normie opinion.
Well, that's because they aren't they aren't public companies. They are private, ultimately speaking.
Exactly. So
But
it's
they
almost
are
like they're
so
trying to have their cake and eat it in the sense of,
well, no. The difference is that fundamentally speaking, that the companies you're mentioning, in large part, do get some level of government assistance and government subsidy. Now, while that happens to a minor extent for Google and to an even lesser extent for Facebook, if at all, it's not enough to warrant the sort of public company backlash that you'd have, given the fact that all the companies that are engaged in public utilities have very questionable quality of service. And that's just a matter of fact.
Yeah, but Ison, also you're forgetting that these companies are massive, holding large swaths of the internet under their direct control.
Yeah, and Enron was
they
one of
do
the largest
influence
companies in the
government
world,
decisions.
then died instantly. These things can happen, and it's very common when you make stupid decisions like, oh, I don't know, get rid of one of your most popular right-wing platform or right-wing outlets off of all of your platforms all at once. That's kind of a stupid thing to do, honestly.
Yeah, but the thing
but
is, we can help it
Ison,
along,
they-
Ison. We can help this death along much more quickly.
See what if I can,
Yeah, I don't. Here's the thing, Seal. I don't want to do it down the barrel of a gun. Is exerting immoral force. It's all well and good to think that's fine when you're doing it, but you don't want it happening to you either when you have control of something.
Ison, these companies do get to dictate policy as well.
Yeah, of their own volition with their own resources privately, just like you
No,
and I
I'm
get to make
talking
those
about in
decisions.
terms of laws.
All right, all right, I have a question. What board are they on in the government? What voting power do they actually have?
Okay, look at these commissions. Look at the recent attempts to dictate policy when it comes to things like privacy.
No. Which members of what companies are on what commissions?
Okay, it isn't as direct as that.
Okay, you know why? Because it's the same thing we all are as members of this, the United States of America, and to an extent you aren't a citizen, but you get my point. We all have the right to get involved in our own policy and politics.
Oh, come on.
As organizations and as individuals.
Ison, with respect, that's a little bit disingenuous because there's a big difference between an individual trying to affect policy and a very large company that has a lot of influence.
Okay, but I have a question.
I'll give
How
you
do
an
you feel
example.
about Citizens United?
I'll give
How do
you
you
an
feel about
example.
Citizens United?
I'll give you an example. In this country, for instance, you have Amazon. Amazon pay less than minimum wage, yet they have a lot of power. They're given swathes of land to develop on. They're technically, from this country's point of view, they're a foreign company. Yet, with all their resources, they could pay higher wages. Yet they will not do that. So in effect, they're getting a slave labor force.
Well, yes, there's immoral force being committed by the government to favor them, but the fundamental difference is that legislatively speaking, they don't actually have any direct voice. Also, it's an unfair comparison because our governments are drastically different.
That is true.
Now, my question is still remaining. What do you think of Citizens United?
I don't know enough about that to comment on it. But what I do know is that recently you had inquiries which does affect public perception and is easily manipulated by these companies. I mean, what was it that the one of the higher-ups of Facebook was quoted as saying when faced with what was considered quote-unquote hate speech? Oh, it's 3 strikes and you're out, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one example.
And not just that,
And
but
that goes down to hate speech, which is a whole nebulous.
Well, and here's the thing: if it were being enforced by the under government standard, under criminal punishment, you would have an argument. But it is their right to remove people from the company. Now, that being said, I do entirely think that all of these businesses and all of these platforms need to uphold First Amendment values of free speech and freedom of expression. Not doing so is guaranteeing their inevitable downfall as a company. It's going to happen if they keep going down this road, and that's why I see it as just the beginnings on the path towards oblivion for them. The difference is that we shouldn't be using the tactics of the left, right? This is the exact same kind of stuff they like to use against right-wing companies that put money towards right-wing organizations. Again, it goes back to the point where, like I noted, it went to the Supreme Court, and in that entire thing, they basically said, yeah, no, companies are allowed to do this. And if they couldn't, CRTV and the Rubin Report, for reference, would not exist. They get a lot of outside funding from a lot of big businesses. A lot of the stuff you and I listen to and watch and read wouldn't happen. Daily Caller, that receives a lot of outside funding. It's part of the polity of the entire thing, and those, mind you, are just media sites receiving that funding. Imagine if you were to start, cracking down onto the elections as well. It's the facts. We allow money and we allow businesses to have a say in our government, and frankly, we should, because of the fact that we like to regulate the shit out of them anyways. Don't get me wrong, I wish we didn't need to have a kind of government where that happens because we deregulated business to hell and back, but as it stands, we have to give them, representation for their taxation.
Hang on a second. So the two companies you mentioned there, so CRTV, Daily Caller, they have a particular slant, and they're not. They make no bones about. They don't try to hide that. Whereas these particular platforms claim to be neutral. They claim to be open platforms and advocates of free speech.
And not
you
only
must understand
that's
not where that's not the money. I'm not talking about CRTV and Rubin. I'm talking about where the money is coming from. A lot of the the Koch Foundation, stuff like that. Those couldn't exist if you want to get money out of politics because you're afraid of the fact that Google and YouTube and Netflix all have vested monetary donations and interests.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, I got held up. My ride decided to flake on me at the last minute.
It's fine.
That's all right.
Yeah, but
we're just discussing the implications of money in politics, Citizens United, and why I personally think that, while it's a problem, I think that it's a problem we can, solve as citizen activists, as opposed to trying to force a barrel of a gun and a boot to the throat on businesses we don't like.
Can I step in? Because YouTube been going back and forth for the past 5 minutes, letting no one else talk.
Apologies, guys.
I'm calling the kettle black, but please go on.
Fuck you.
Go on.
Okay, here's the thing that there are a few actual ways I attack, and the reason why I say there needs to be a serious step on the power of Google, Facebook, Twitter. These companies need to have some outside oversight, and they need a barrel of a gun because they've been using a barrel of a gun on citizens. It's hard to defeat the barrel of a gun when all you got is a fucking sign. One of the ways people can exert power and force is through their will and asking their elected representatives to step in. And these companies are engaging in extreme anti-competitive practices, which is against the law. Not only that, but the terms of service, which currently is treated as if it's contract law, they are applying it selectively. That is a massive no-no.
And to that, I agree with you.
These companies should be, because of how much they violate it, there should be a required oversight board at this point for every single attempt to remove somebody. There needs to be an outside force giving them the yay or nay on whether they can remove someone from their platform because they are so selective about it. They are violating contract law massively. These companies need, and the only thing that can stop this is not citizen activism. Citizen activism can only be used to get people who have the ability, who have the reins of power, in a sense, things like the SEC, Security Exchanges Commission, as well as potentially class action lawsuits, which I believe there are a couple going on against YouTube right now. These things need to be partially amalgamated, partially tied together, and these companies need to have massive investigations launched into them to check this out, and we need to help speed along that downfall, because these companies, they will, if they can, they will use the tactic of, we will outlast our competitors because we each have a pile of money. These companies have ungodly amounts of cash that they can just dip into for years and outlast anything. We need something that speeds it along at this point. And with how large these companies are, there's something like, 40, 50, 60% of the internet together, and they're all acting almost in lockstep. At that point, you're dealing with a monopolistic trust, and
That's
that
a cartel, basically. Yeah.
that at that point does require a full investigation from multiple government agencies, and I think the investigation should be as open as possible. I think these companies should be required to have a public database of all their internal memos at this point. They need to prove they are not doing this, because it's so hard to say no, they're not. There is very little doubt they are not engaging in these practices, so they have to show they're innocent at this point.
I mean, one thing I just thought of this. There was remember back when Lauren Southern got taken off of Patreon?
Yeah.
Did any of you catch the interview on Dave Rubin was the CEO?
Yeah.
I could have sworn, I could be wrong, but I think the CEO of Patreon mentioned that the CEOs in Silicon Valley do talk to one another about things. Apparently, from the way, if I remember correctly, it was like he made it sound like it was a common occurrence.
Well, what is a common occurrence?
From the way he made it sound like it was a regular thing. Like, again, this was a while ago, so
What is a regular thing?
That there is a talking between these big tech companies that that
sorry,
goes
I
to the very
misunderstood
top. That we're talking about potential things similar to insider trading in the business terms. That they are getting involved with each other's businesses. They're making potential unofficial agreements.
Let's try and get other people's opinions on this as well. Bigfoot, Beggar, Wandering, Mason, Spot.
Whatever you want to say about whether it's like the legality of it or not, that doesn't really matter to me too much. What's done is done. It's no matter what angle you look at it from, this is a really stupid decision on all fronts, because
I think we can all agree with that.
You're dealing with conspiracy theorists, so they're all gonna spurg out and be like, "Oh, they don't want us telling you guys the truth about the world or whatever," and it's just gonna be like, they're not even accomplishing their own goal of like trying to like clamp down on like paranoia and conspiracy theories. So it's just like
a good fucking point.
So it's just like, what was your point in doing that? Because now you've just hardened them
Short-term
even
gain.
more.
You validate them.
Yeah, it's short-term gain. It's desperation and short-term gain. They realize they're losing control of the culture, so they're doing whatever they think they can do to stop it, using old
Their
tactics. that
platforms
used to work.
are slowly suffering
Yeah.
rot. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Spot, what were you trying to say?
wait, me?
Spot.
Oh, sorry, misheard.
Well, at the moment, yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at this okay, I don't know how far you've gone in, but I'm looking at the massive amounts of celebration on Twitter. I mean, like, stupid amounts of celebration. Like, wow, you guys have no idea what's coming, do you? If it can happen to Alex Jones, who, despite being the prophet of our times, is relatively harmless, it can happen
to Schenk.
Honestly, it should have happened to Chang by now. Well, not just because I dislike the Young Turks and their politics. That's aside from that.
They violated the terms of service on how many occasions?
Countless.
Yeah.
Then you have official check-marked accounts that are, Antifa accounts, ISIS accounts, channels. My God, and Facebook pages and groups. It's like, what? Really? The one thing, and the only branch they can try to cling to here is the ongoing lawsuit involving Alex Jones and the Sandy Hook parents.
Yeah, that one's pretty dumb.
Where they're, I heard this, and I have this, and I don't know how the legality works. Where they basically might share liability if they continue to let him say that on their platforms.
Well, my thing is that, it's offensive as fuck. He's allowed to fucking say it, though.
Oh, I firmly agree.
Yeah, and look,
But if
Sandy
they
Hook
become
has a few questions still hanging over it. Is Alex Jones a little extreme and exaggerating them? Yeah, but
Very.
there still are
That-
questions.
No. That's one where he's extremely extreme. He says it's all fake.
Yeah.
Were
Yeah.
there probably crisis actors? I'm willing to think there's one or two,
Yeah.
but not the whole thing's a false flag.
Oh yeah, yeah. It happened. It's just the claims. I would just kind of sidestepping the whole. They found the AR-15 in his trunk, but there was no evidence he ever went out to put the gun back there. And there weren't two AR-15s found. They claimed that was the main weapon used. That one is kind of they're exaggerating the story to try and demonize something.
Yeah, no, they'll find their ways to sneak around and demonize it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
guns.
So,
Beggar?
yeah.
Anyways, Beggar.
I think I'm more interested in how a lot of the right are not really responding to Alex Jones being kicked out on these platforms, but it's just another way of saying the right doesn't want to be accused of racism.
Well, I honestly want to say that I'm pretty sure that, the usual YouTube sphere that I'm pretty sure that most of us pretty much subscribe to and follow are pretty much going to be the same thing. This is bullshit. This is censorship. This is a violation of the First Amendment. This is violation of free speech. I mean, I think we're covered here. I think what we need to do is look at how it's being presented to the normies who have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Mm-hmm. Well, and as somebody that's peeking on that, it does seem that even in large part, at least the political mainstream right wing, that rather than the normie right, is overwhelmingly thinking this is stupid as well. So if it's any consolation, I think we've got the public on our back this time. They're to our back,
time
not
to
our
wake
side.
up. They need time to wake up.
I gotta.
Go ahead, Ed. Go ahead.
Well, there was like two things. One, I gotta see how the fuck the meme community's reacting to this.
Oh, it's already happening.
And on top of that, one thing I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts on is, what's your opinion on like Apple and Google with their app stores, and how apps are listed and stuff. And I know Alex Jones's app hasn't been pulled yet, but wasn't Gab pulled from like the Google Play Store? And
Yes.
Yes.
And Apple kept making up excuses not to let Gab on. That may have changed, but
It goes worse than that. They weren't even allowed to develop their own app.
Yeah, and look, that's another reason why I say we need investigations. That is a monopolistic practice.
But there is one thing I would like to mention. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. If I remember correctly, Google is a lot more open with the way Android functions, so you can download apps outside of the Play Store. So that's going to be...
But it is an obscure setting, and that is kind of the Wild West. So the vast majority of normal people don't know how to do that.
On top of that, it's very risky to do that, because a lot of phones now have and apps where if you root your phone, if you change the phone's core settings, apps stop functioning.
Yep.
I thought you didn't have to root your phone if it's an Android.
It depends on the app. It varies wildly.
Okay.
Wondering?
I remember hearing about what do you call it? Fucking Fortnite wanted to put their game on like their website instead of the Google Play Store for some fucking reason.
They're trying to avoid Google control, and I applaud them for that. And they'll probably actually succeed.
Well, it also costs money every time you get an update, and they update that game like every 5 minutes. So it probably will cost them a lot more in the long run to do that than if they could have just, had some sort of stream system. Not that that's in any way viable on mobile.
It's the only way they maintain their autist player base.
Pretty much. The only reason they're able to do it cheaply on console is, one, because so many players are on console, and two, because I'm pretty sure they've cut deals with Sony and Microsoft to make it a lot cheaper to do that, and Nintendo, to make cheaper updates, because, like I said, it costs an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
Wondering?
What? I know, I'm fine on all this.
Sorry?
Anyways, I'll give, if it's alright to give my last 2 cents, and then I'll stop with the topic personally speaking.
Go on, Mason.
To address the ideas of contract law, I entirely fucking agree with that. We need to uphold contract law, and if they are shown to be in contempt of that, throw the book at them. 3, as far as citizen activism, I meant that in the terms of, frankly, going on different platforms, boycotting these guys. Boycotts do work. Sure. You just gotta be, concerted effort.
Yeah.
And whenever, don't get me wrong, whenever these fuckers use government force, again, as I always say, the barrel of a gun to try and get their shit done, these big companies, fuck them. They're fucking pieces of shit when they do it. But I'm going to be the moral person and say we shouldn't be doing it either, because it's all bullshit. Live and let live. Number 3, I'm going to tell you, I'm tackling some misconceptionomics here in that these companies don't actually probably have a lot of money sitting around. As we know, overwhelmingly, a lot of the value and a lot of the wealth in any given company or person is in the form of assets. Now, they can sell off their assets, but in large part, a company's major asset value is that which they, produce. Oh, they do pay very little in taxes, and blip, that is a problem I have with them, but which is ironic for me, obviously. But
which is why we need a flat tax.
Please, God, please, just a flat income tax or just a sales tax. That's all we fucking need. Please, God. But, just fucking, what we gotta do is simple, all right? We need to make sure that we do this in a moral fashion. And as much as I hate to admit it, it's the free market. Alternative platforms are going to rise when this stuff continues. It's the inevitability. They have this monopoly that everyone and trust everyone's afraid of has just started signing its own death warrants.
Yeah, but because it's a monopoly and we have laws on the books, why not help? Why not help dig their grave?
We both know those laws are bullshit.
The best way to overturn a law is to enforce it. Enthusiastically.
Ison, I know you wanted to close the topic. I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
It just got me thinking. Do you think that perhaps this sort of behavior is a blessing in disguise to kickstart attention towards the struggling competitors like Gab and Minds, which have had so much difficulty trying to really push themselves and assert themselves to, normies?
Well, here's the thing, and it's the inevitable truth. Whenever a company gets too big for its britches and tries to think it can control the market when it can't, it's gonna get it's gonna get turned off. It's gonna get turned away. People are going to find other things. Eventually, the mainstream American people will see this and be like, "Oh, this is bullshit," because it's gonna start happening to the minutia. When that happens, that's when they die. Now, the first couple martyrs are gonna go, and the ones who follow them and the ones who are interested will follow in following kind. Meaning, by the way, fun fact, they get first crack at the new stuff on the new platforms. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, once it starts breaking down into things like, your everyday Facebook page, when that starts happening, you're going to start seeing people moving. Cooking Place does something that YouTube or Facebook doesn't like. Oh, there goes your page, and suddenly all the moms on Facebook are like, oh, where can we find you? And they find them elsewhere. And then you have say you'll have Liberty memes. When Liberty memes eventually goes up, and believe me, they will go up, then guess what? Suddenly Gab and Minds and fucking BitChute are going to be the brand new place for people to go for them. And all the libertarians will be going towards that shit, probably.
Well, also, BitChute has a massive advantage over Google. Its decentralized peer-to-peer network costs almost nothing to maintain, and it is infinitely scalable. It's scary.
Yeah. Ison, you'd be the first one in line for the libertarian.
Well, Liberty meme. I love the Liberty memes, guys. Those guys are great. I got to meet them recently.
But
okay, should we move on to the next topic?
I did just want to finish out. As they start to decline, since most of their wealth is in resource and asset, they will shrink as companies whenever they start losing money. It's not that they have a pool of dollars. They have a very small emergency pool, and then they start to die quickly.
Yeah. Well, there's also another thing that could potentially happen that I actually kind of predict for some of these bigger companies. What will happen that occasionally does, it doesn't mean the company will correct, it still will shrink, but it will still but the company will still survive in a form. And that's, as a company shrinks, occasionally stock investors go, okay, we're firing the entire board and bringing in some new guys to do the direct opposite of what you guys did. That does happen on occasion, and even though the company, it's one of those, the guys go, okay, we're going to cut off the toxic assets, we're going to cut out the bad stuff. For example, if this were to happen to Google, they're going to get rid of YouTube. They're jettisoning it. It is a toxic asset they cannot maintain.
Yep, and that's very well possible.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next topic, something where we're going to have a lot less disagreement.
Yeah.
Our boy is free, ladies and germs. Tommy Robinson is a free man.
Wow,
and he got kicked off Instagram.
Tommy.
He's only on bail, though.
Tommy Robinson. Yeah, well, he's not dead.
Yeah. But also another important thing is, this is such a politically toxic
Oh.
situation. I've got a feeling, at most and worst case scenario, they're going to give him time served and set him free, because it has become a stain. If they send him back to jail, we're not talking just us autists. We're talking potentially full-scale protests. We're talking potentially major American officials getting involved with this and condemning Britain.
POTUS.
Oh no, POTUS isn't gonna touch this. He doesn't know what's happened yet. I'm at least pretty certain of that one, and something tells me it's not gonna happen.
I disagree with that. I will say this though, Seal. I think from their perspective, they fucked up.
Yeah.
The plan was that nobody was ever going to know this. He was going to disappear. And if not for, guys, correct me if I'm wrong here, I think it was one of the cameramen on his team managed to follow the van which he was bundled into, and thus be able to keep the trail. And if not for that, he literally would have been lost, and they could have done anything to him.
Yeah.
He could be thrown into any prison,
it's
and
a
nobody
little
would
bit
have
of
known
luck,
about it.
but because of this situation, the police are never going to touch him again when he's outside one of these courtrooms, unless he is doing something completely beyond the pale. Because he's going to have like 5 or 6 guys that are just plain clothes with hidden cameras that will observe everything. He has become untouchable. They cannot touch him anymore.
Well, actually, even ignoring that.
I think that's what untouchable means.
Yeah.
Well, even ignoring that. I mean, we just have to look at, okay, just from his initial release, how well did you guys look at him? I mean, my God.
He looks terrible.
Yeah.
He lost 40 pounds. He
lost 40.
ate.
No,
It's not just that. It's not that how emaciated he is. He looks fucking terrible.
I know,
the spirit was just drained out of him.
yeah. They
But that
was
can be
nervous.
rebuilt. But that can be rebuilt.
Yeah,
No, he's been under severe trauma, Seawell. Every single day, he hasn't been able to eat properly because anything from the prison had the potential of being poisoned. Imagine having that trauma for 2 months.
On top of that, he probably didn't get much sleep.
Yeah, I saw a video where it was like him finally getting some sleep, and some guy was like tapping his face to see if he would react. He was out cold.
That was his wife.
Yeah.
But
Look.
yeah, I mean, just from the sheer, he's going to need time to. I mean, he's never going to be the same again. He might be more pissed off.
Yeah. I'm not saying that Tommy is going, tomorrow be marching through the streets of London demanding change. He's going to need time to recover. But traumas like this, they do one of two things. They either just shatter you and you become useless and you disappear, or you become you're forged. You're forged and make you stronger.
Tommy has a strong will.
Yeah.
I don't think he's broken because he's still told the press to fuck off.
Yeah, that is evidence that he was forged to be stronger. It's just at that time he was still a little sore. He was still sore over the whole thing.
I think maybe the truth is probably closer to somewhere in the middle, in that he has to contend with the reality that every single day in that prison could have been his death, and not seeing his children, not seeing his wife, having such terrible restrictions on his freedom, and the whole cruelty of the situation. But at the same time, his naivety, which has been so easily exploited over the years,
That's probably
It's gone.
yeah, it's fast doing, and he is aware of what he represents. He's aware of his symbology. He's openly admitted it. So
the thing that scared me when in the interview with him was the guards were asking him how his food was.
no, not the guards. The
He didn't interact with
the people who were serving him the food, which were other prisoners.
Weren't they? Those were delivered to him. He didn't go get it.
Oh, so there could have been other prisoners. I don't know. I don't think it was the guards who were saying that. So.
Okay, maybe I misinterpreted, but it sounded like it was the guards asking that.
No, and speaking of the guards, at least one guard who defended him in some way was actually fired.
Yeah.
This was a few weeks ago. maybe even less.
I mean, I hate to break it, but they want him dead.
Well,
They
yeah.
do, but they've overextended, and like I said, they fucked up. They wanted to kill him without anybody knowing, and that didn't work. And ever since then, you look at this internationally, you have movements all over the world who have been protesting this treatment. So it's blown up in their face. And now that even the media are questioning, hey, Tommy, why won't you talk to us? What have we done that's so wrong?
It's kind of sad when even Fox News has to call Tommy Robinson far right.
It's kind of
Because I'm
sad
reading-
when Shapiro has to do it too, but I'm not surprised in the slightest. Granted, he did apologize.
Sorry, Ison, I've got to absorb this red pill moment for you.
It's not a red pill. It's more or less just me calling out Ben when he's wrong. Here's the thing. I know it's a strange concept here for you to call out someone when you actually disagree with their policy rather than their personhood, but it's a beautiful thing. It gives me beautiful sleep, let me tell you, and I need my beauty sleep, but it's great.
He'll only ever progress. Wondering, Beggar, and Ed, anything to add?
I really have nothing to add.
Not really much.
I mean, there really was. I mean, until Tommy comes out with more stuff, we don't really have, other than him being free, what he looked like, what he experienced. We really don't have much to work with.
What I was thinking is that he really needs to go on a tour across the United States, really hit home as to his unjust treatment.
Here's the danger.
Can I make the point first, please, Ison?
Fair enough.
You may agree with it, you may disagree with it, but just at least say the point, because I think it has a lot of benefits to it. Now, obviously, it's going to be extremely controversial, but you guys still have free speech, and what it would do is it would highlight exactly what happened to him, the canary in the coal mine that is the UK and the rest of Europe, and back home, it will highlight what he's doing. It will infuriate a lot of his detractors here. But he won't have been doing anything wrong by simply going and highlighting what happened to him.
Well, two things. One, is he allowed to leave the country? And two, even if he does leave the country, and I hate to say it, I think they wouldn't let him back in.
Legally, they can't.
I didn't consider that.
Right?
I would imagine he is allowed.
He's a citizen of Britain. You cannot.
That doesn't. That doesn't matter.
To my knowledge, you can't strip somebody of their citizenship in Britain.
I think that our precedents where citizenship can be revoked.
And let's face it, him leaving the country would be the only. I mean, let's face it. They rushed him through a kangaroo court and threw him in prison, expecting him to die. Do you think arbitrarily stripping someone of their citizenship the minute they blink?
Here's the problem: if they do something like that, they ratchet up the martyr in him tenfold.
It won't happen. I think it won't happen precisely because of recent events.
They'll harass him at the border. They'll question him.
And I don't think that will happen precisely because of the whole chain of events. Yeah. The fact that the Lord Chief Justice has outright called the whole process they went through as unjust. I don't remember what language he used, but he essentially did state that this was completely wrong. They can't do shit like that. They may have tried to have done something like that in the recent past, but I don't think they can pull that off now. I think that window of opportunity is gone.
It's gone.
Then we have problem two if he comes to America.
Which is?
Antifa.
Oh God, yeah.
Please. Those guys are a fucking joke.
No. Ison, maybe the ones in America are, but the ones in Europe are not. At least the ones in Germany.
But we're talking about the ones in America, and here's the thing, all right? All you gotta do is give a quick call to Gavin McInnes, and you have your own personal defense force.
Not only that, but I'm sure you could rope the Oath Keepers into it too, who will show up.
Here's the problem. Antifa are openly calling for armed insurrection now.
Yeah. But there is another benefit.
With what, teddy bear launchers? What are the
No. Hold it.
Literally saying to start shooting quote-unquote Nazis in the street.
Look, one thing I'd also say that would be a benefit for Tommy if he were to do a tour in America, even if it was just basically he kept to a very fairly safe area, let's say parts of Texas or the South or the Midwest, basically choosing a safe place in the U.S. where it's tougher for Antifa to get to. It would also be a good morale booster for him, showing him that he has wide support outside who will have his back in whatever way they can provide.
What about people on the peninsula?
We can also show him a place where citizens actually have rights.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, Seymour, you just brought up problem 3. What's the current state of platforming in the United States for quote-unquote right-wingers?
Are we telling him to go to liberal colleges? No, I'm saying private venues in
it's
areas
not even
that
just
are
liberal
less.
colleges. Look what happened to Sargon.
He was doing that in New York City, a liberal hellhole. I'm talking
It
about.
doesn't matter if he goes to a public venue that gets enough threats, whether or not they exist or not, is up for debate. Then they could just cancel on him.
Here's the thing, Spart. He's a milquetoast conservative by American standards. He's hardly far right here.
I recognize that.
Regular right.
But here's the thing. Remember, I mean, yeah, we call milquetoast conservative here, but we're also not the rabid dogs on the left. They'd still consider him a far right Nazi. He's going to kill all black, brown, and Jewish people, etc., etc., etc.
Well, to them, Ben Shapiro is an anti-Semite, and at this point, it's beyond the pale.
That's the level of stupidity we're dealing with.
Yeah.
I know, but this is the problem for everyone. At least then Tommy Robinson has a chance. My concern, obviously, is with, like I said, British citizens don't have rights. Something tells me he wouldn't be let back in.
I don't think so. I think that window of opportunity is
that
gone
would
now.
also Eisen, that would also immediately elevate this to much higher American authorities, and it would get to the ears of the president. It's one of those situations. That's an international incident we're talking about here. We're talking about actual, not sanctions, but definitely major condemnations from the United States.
I'd agree if we hadn't already seen it happen and the president didn't give a shit.
Look, we're talking about a situation where a man would basically have no nation. And at that point, you don't think Tommy's fans would bombard the White House with this?
Hang on a second, Ison. I know it's only speculation, but do you not think it's possible, somewhere within the realm of possibility, that the Lord Chief Justice's input recently was down to some kind of American influence?
What I can see is that is a protector. I'm just looking at the absolute worst case scenario, and then looking at what happens if that happens, ceteris paribus. And ceteris paribus does seem to, like, it wouldn't be the first time someone's without a citizenship. I mean, it's happened a lot before, and the United States didn't care. Now, I think it would likely be an international incident, but I don't think it would be one that would get to the attention of the presidency. I think that perhaps it would definitely get Nikki Haley would certainly be fucking roasting the rest of the UN, and especially Britain over it, though.
Ison, here's the thing. If that situation happened, Tommy immediately would go, and his fans would immediately go into a panic mode, and they would tap every single media personality of the alternative media who has a connection to Trump. They basically wouldn't let the president sleep until he made a statement.
There's less of those than I think you imagine, too. I think the only member of the alt media who actually has the ear of the president is Alex Jones.
And you don't think Alex Jones wouldn't be immediately called? Alex Jones has regularly defended Tommy Robinson.
He would. I'm just saying. I do not think it would happen. I hate to break it to you guys, and believe me, I'd hope it would, but
I just do. But I guess that's purely speculative.
It would likely be something handled at the highest possible level of the Secretary of State. Yeah. My guess is it would just be an incident in which we would grant him. Like, don't get me wrong, he would be given special citizenship.
He'd be granted amnesty.
But the crux of the question: do you not think that it would be beneficial overall to broadcast his recent flight to as wide as audience as possible?
Oh, without a doubt. And I agree, and I think that's going to happen. I'm just telling you where I genuinely believe, based on the evidence, where it would end up. Like I said, it's all based on ceteris paribus.
Yeah. I didn't think that would happen. But okay, does anyone else have anything to add to the topic?
Oh, not to add, but I think Bitfoot dropped his phone because he just left.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made like a faint noise, like a scream, not a scream, but something.
An aggravated. We'll go with an aggravated noise.
As they say.
Yeah.
Anyways, next on, we talked about shooting Nazis, and now the Antifa wants to do that. Evidently, Antifa, as I like to call them, anti-fags, have already gone on to punching people, apparently. Punching center-right Wisconsiners. The face of neo-Nazism in America.
Who play children's card games.
Yeah, who play children's card games.
Look, Ison, I think you said it best to me several days ago. Would you like to say what your point is? What's inevitable now?
Go ahead, I forget.
Something involving the word civil?
I'm sorry, you're gonna actually have to just say it.
That civil war is much more likely now that they're going to these tactics. That open
I'm saying that they have now paved the path towards civil war.
Yeah,
it's an inevitability, and God, we can only dream. But
I think it's gonna happen. It's a question of how big, though.
It's a question. Here's the thing: it's a question of whether or not it's a bloodless war, because it could very well be that.
See, well, why do you have to bring up this topic?
It could turn into that. At any rate, more to the topic at hand. What's going to happen going forward is
Gen Con's dead.
No, it's not dead. It's just going to see a decline in attendance. You guys always like to think these things are going to be the death of something, and they never are. But overwhelmingly, they are going to see a drop in attendance, unless, of course, as Jeremy noted, which actually, real quick, step back. We need to give the explanation. Does anyone want to give the explanation as to what the hell we're talking about?
I'll try and give a brief rundown. Basically, Jeremy Quartering was in attendance at Gen Con. From what I remember, he stated that he'd been meeting people that whole day, and at a bar, somebody asked him his name. He responded in the affirmative, and the guy started beating the living crap out of him. From what I remember, he stated that he attacked him from behind, started punching in the back of his head, and this is a big guy, apparently. Welcome back, Bigfoot. And nobody intervened. Nobody tried to stop him. The guy had a friend with him who didn't seem fazed by what was going on. Eventually, he managed to either break free from him or somebody did intervene. And the guy was so frustrated that he actually punched the window of the bar. What gets very weird is that the owner of the bar, upon Jeremy wanting to call the police, tried to tell him not to. Obviously, he did contact the police and give his report. But
well, with the bar thing, I don't think that's politically motivated. It's, I think, more of a business decision on the bar's part, because it's okay, if cops show up in front of a bar during a busy season at what would be considered prime hours, that's just going to hurt your business. I think that's... Yeah. I'm not going to attribute malice to that one. I'm going to attribute profit, motive, and greed is the more likely option.
Well, they're going to have to pay to replace the damn window anyway.
That costs nothing. The replacing a window is nothing compared to losing several hours of business.
As well as losing cumulative several hundred thousands of hours of visitation by multiple people,
as well as bad press.
Yeah,
they already got that.
That's the ironic part.
Yeah, it's a risk reward position.
They didn't know who they were telling not to call the police. That's the funniest part.
Yeah.
Well,
anyways, we should note that Gen Con is in fact working with Jeremy now after the convention to try and help him get justice. We're not, and I'm going to also say we shouldn't say the name of the guy who attacked him. We're not CNN here. No. We're not CNN. We're not going to make the fucker famous.
Didn't the dude delete his Twitter though?
Possibly,
but no, he protected his tweets.
Yeah, he made.
I know.
Yeah, I know that was a thing.
But I thought something happened within the last 5 hours or something. It was very recent.
Let me check, but regardless, we shouldn't be giving this guy any attention via name. He's too much of a... He's not worth our time, ladies and germs. He's not worth our time. Also, yes, it is gone.
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
Look, Hopefully, this guy goes to prison and gets him and becomes a very pretty prison wife, and that might teach him what not to do in society.
He's not going to be a wife. He's going to be a whore in prison.
No, prison bitch. It's called
Guys,
prison.
isn't this guy a former panelist at a convention?
Comic-Con. Yeah, he's
Comic-Con. Like, he's no small potatoes from
Yeah,
what I was reading.
I believe like an owner or co-owner of.
he owns his own business.
Yeah, of like.
Owning your own business is one thing. I mean, he could have his own shop, or whatever. But the fact that he has been a panelist at Comic-Con is
San Diego Comic-Con, no less.
And
Yeah.
as Jeremy noted, the guy is a member of industry.
Yeah, that guy, he just killed deals by doing this.
Yeah, no,
Not,
he
not
killed so much.
impossible if Wizards
Not all of them.
keeps up their
Some of
shit.
them.
No, if Wizards keeps up their shit, no, this guy's probably Wizards isn't going to give a shit.
Yeah, but Wizards is on the decline.
Wizards also has nothing to do with his success or failure, frankly.
Yeah.
It's mostly him as an independent businessman
Yeah.
within the field. But he's just signed a death warrant to his company, I can tell you that much.
Unless his company ejects him. If his company ejects him, they'll survive this.
Well,
Well, or they double down Kotaku style and just get an entirely leftist
well, it gets
off.
better. The guy's also apparently a professor.
What?
What now?
At a Connecticut university, I can find him.
Yeah, he is. He's in the upcoming semester, he is teaching the class Intro to Game Design.
What?
Well, if he gets a charge, he's very quickly going to be replaced because
rule
universities...
number one: beat up your publisher.
Yeah. Look,
It shows dominance.
this guy has killed his career. It's done.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I mean, he might be able to survive by being part of some SJW rag, but it's going to be.
Oh,
penance.
he'd have to double down Zoe Quinn style if he
Yeah.
wants to survive.
But
Well,
the problem
thing
is,
is,
he's
I
not a
think-
woman, so that's
Yeah,
a little tricky.
he probably just
Well, actually, thing is, we know he's fucked up in the head because he refers to himself as a princess.
Didn't
So
That's
he's
not
probably
going to bode very well in prison.
He's probably going to give people blowjobs.
he's one of those rainbow flag. He's one of those rainbow flag wearing and flying fuckwads.
Quick question:
Yeah,
what is his ethnicity?
He's white.
He is very white.
He's white.
White.
I mean,
If
I
he
mean,
goes to
he wasn't
jail,
SJ
he's
if he wasn't
gonna-
that rated SJW, he's a dude, bro.
Okay, if he goes to jail, I guarantee because this is going to be what at least a couple of year sentence,
Probably.
hard time. He's coming out
It
Aryan
really does
Brotherhood.
depend.
He's coming out Aryan Brotherhood.
Yeah. Funny thing is, he went to Gen Con with a Punch Nazi T-shirt, which really.
Yeah, but wait. He didn't have any black eyes on his own face. How come he didn't get punched?
Because he
Mom.
attacked the guy from behind.
You
Look.
punch him in the back of his head.
No. See, well, the joke is he's the Nazi.
Ah,
Yeah, we know. Yeah. The thing that really, it's like I've talked a lot about this. My opinion is we need to take these nerd spaces back. Find all these rabid leftists, kick them the fuck out by force.
Well, they're
They're
kind
not,
of
they're not leaving on their own.
Ed boy, want to go take over the SCP wiki with me?
I'll make a fucking Mary Sue insert or some shit.
So, gentlemen, quick question: which industry are we going to Lebensraum after that? Which one?
All of them.
At once?
Multiple fronts
Hey, multiple fronts worked for Hitler. It can work for us.
will succeed with the few
Well,
that
there
have
was this
failed.
one only. The only front that didn't work was the Russian front.
By the way, we are approaching the hour mark.
Yeah, we're 5 minutes out.
So, Ed, do you have any final thoughts since you haven't really said much about this topic? About Gen Con and
All I remember,
Jeremy?
I swear I saw the dude who attacked Jeremy wearing a pink dress for some fucking thing he worked on.
I think you're right. And that is hilarious. This guy is going to be...
Oh, he's
playing
gonna be.
hide-
loving
he's
prison.
going to play and hide the sausage in prison. But moving forward, Blip, you had a fun story about Canada and Saudis. Would you like to start with that one?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
As Bering calls him, has managed to piss off the Saudi Arabians.
Blitz,
take-
you're using the wrong title. We need to use the Chinese title for Justin Trudeau. Little Potato.
Siwa enlightened me to the most glorious of descriptions of "How about Justin?" which the Chinese have given, because they don't mince their words. Apparently, the Chinese refer to Justin Trudeau as Little Potato.
Beautiful.
Is absolutely
And
brilliant.
America refers to our President Donald Trump as the Deep Fryer.
So, to fill you guys in onto the article, I'm going to link that here. I'm not entirely sure what it was he was interfering. I think it was a political activist which the Saudi Arabians had arrested.
Yep,
that sounds right.
Yep, and basically they're pro-feminist, so Saudi Arabia, that's a don't touch.
Yeah, but I just did a little taste of how equal cultures are when they bitch slapped him.
And this isn't just a condemnation. This is a 24 hours to get your diplomat out of there. They're shutting the embassy down.
Oh, but it gets better. I shall link again.
Well, clearly Saudi Arabia is bothered because they heard the recent news about the way Justin Trudeau treated women in his youth. And frankly, Saudi Arabia, being a bastion for women's rights, just can't stand for it.
They let them drive, somewhat, under supervision.
Let's just make it Canada.
Yeah, but don't you dare, if you're driving with them, don't you dare kiss them or else you're going to jail.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is, not long after this spat, the threats began to appear, and the CN Tower is now a very juicy target, apparently.
Oh God, that's something.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but pretty much all pending trade deals have been frozen. That is God knows how much money that's going to screw over Canada. We're potentially looking at a Canadian recession from this.
Oh, good.
So how soon before Trudeau bends over?
He won't. It's game over. Checkmate. His king has been captured. There's no winning this.
Wait. See what. Isn't it a good few years until the next election?
Let me double check when the next Canadian election is.
Yeah, I think it's for a while.
I wonder how long until Trudeau makes a press conference.
Look, Trudeau is an expert at taking it up the ass. Who knows? He couldn't find his way out of this
Next
one
election
day.
is in a year and a few months.
Oh.
October 21st, 2019.
Don't worry, see, he's got plenty of time to fuck it up even more.
But here's the
all
thing.
I'm going to say is Prime Minister O'Leary is an inevitability, and I so look forward to it.
Is he Canada's Donald Trump?
Yes, he's Mr. Fun fact: his nickname is Mr. Wonderful.
He's too left.
Potato.
I would like to
They
welcome
need.
Canadian Prime Minister Mr. Wonderful to the White House. He is officially giving me direct control of the Canadians because that is the best for their future.
We will gas the trannies. We will purge the heretics.
But yeah.
When did we go fucking 1400s Deus Vult on this? When did Trump go full on Tradcon Catholic?
Speaking of Canada, it just, are you tired of winning? Are you tired of winning? Tell me you're tired of winning. Because apparently illegal aliens are self-deporting to Canada due to Trump's crackdown.
Whoops.
Small tangent on that. Just looking through the twatters. Apparently, the one of the candidates for Arizona governor is calling for open borders in Arizona.
Well, he's
Congratulations, you just handed that election to the Republicans.
Does that governor live in a house that has...
No, it's
walls?
a candidate.
Does it have?
The candidate.
And don't worry, everyone. We still have a consolation prize for them: one flipped bird.
And also,
Fucking hell.
I was going to say
one
one free trip to the showers, but hey.
No, and also a one-way ticket to Mexico. We just trebuchet them. That's all we do.
Silly gentlemen, people you disagree with still have rights.
Not in this country.
No, they shouldn't.
Any closing thoughts on the topic?
I may have some final thoughts, yeah.
Oh, Canada.
Okay, I got something. It's relevant to a few of us nerds here, especially me and Bluff. So apparently at the end of, let's see, was it Star Trek Las Vegas or Star Trek The Cruise? Sir Patrick Stewart has announced that he's reprising the role of Captain Picard in a new series.
It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all.
I'm just very, very concerned, because apparently from what I'm given to understand, CBS is just making a whole bunch of pilots for Star Trek series, and they're just throwing it all on their all access thing and seeing what the fuck sticks. Because Discovery, apparently, they reshuffled the entire writing staff. I mean, they changed out almost the entire writing core. So, despite the vociferous praise for it, it doesn't sound like it's doing that well.
No,
Such is the price of diversity.
I mean, hell, isn't Discovery infecting Star Trek Online and potentially
Shut up! Don't remind me.
And potentially leading to it having a declining user base?
Yes.
I'm actually seeing. I'm surprised, all things considered. I'm seeing more anti-Discovery stuff on the Reddit than I'm on the subreddit that I expected.
You should check out Zone Chat. That would, of course, involve having to log in.
I don't want to check Zone Chat. Zone Chat's that is cancer. Well, that is like rule number 1 of Star Trek Online. You turn off the fucking Zone Chat.
Yeah, it makes 8chan look safe in comparison.
No, it makes 4chan, Pole, D, and Bath look sane.
Well, it remains to be seen what happens with this. I mean, in terms of his politics, Patrick Stewart is most definitely on the camp of how most the Star Trek actors.
He is no longer our captain. He is no longer our captain.
Well, no, he was part of the Trekkies Against Trump signage.
Hashtag not our captain.
But it doesn't matter because we'll always have the Shat.
Yeah, we have the real captain of the Enterprise.
I saw that fucking tweet William Shatner made where it was like some presidents of people like on like dollar bills have owned slaves. If you don't want to support like racism, you can send it to this address.
Beautiful.
I think that man knows how to snark online like
William
nobody.
Shatner for press secretary. Do it. Do it.
No. William Shatner for admiral of our new space force.
Yes.
We will find green women.
Don't forget. Hey, don't forget about Alpha Platoon, otherwise known as the Gay Frogs. You know.
Hey, Spartacus, it's the Enterprise.
I'm sorry, that has to be our first major space vessel. That has to be.
God, I hope that or the USS Donald Trump.
No, that has to come after his presidency. So actually, okay, I'll also accept the Yorktown.
Yeah, but that gets renamed the Enterprise.
I know that.
All right, guys. Do we have any closing thoughts?
I suppose not. That's actually a good place to end. Oh, because we got to bring up Star Trek, I'm gonna bring it up. I know there's mixed opinions in here, but they are. We just got announcements at SDCC of two. We got one SDCC and one from the end of a movie announcing two great shows that are animated are finally getting their closing seasons. The first one is one less people care about, which is Teen Titans, the original one.
Boy, I care very much.
You care.
You're also
It's
getting
been
Young
confirmed.
Justice. That's another series that's coming back.
Yeah, it's been confirmed.
We've known that though.
Yeah.
But at the end of the Teen Titans Go movie, they had just a brief clip in which the original Teen Titans animation style clips in, and Robin says, "Guys, I think we found a way back."
Yeah, I remember seeing clips of that.
Yeah, I mean, Tara Strong, the voice of Raven, said that if it does well, then they're going to make the next season of Teen Titans. I mean, we're going back to Teen.
Scarily enough, the Teen Titans Go movie, though somewhat generic looking, doesn't look awful.
I'm still not going to watch it.
Yeah,
I'm with Spart.
I'll check it out when it comes out.
I mean,
DVD or something.
it's just this. I mean, that statement alone just feels like baiting, and it's like, but so I want good thing, but I have to subject myself to bad thing.
The other TV show that's coming back is Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
As I said on Twitter, you know what, Disney? Apology not accepted, but I take the gift anyways. Do me right with this, and maybe I will reconsider your past transgressions, House of Mouse.
There shall be no forgiveness. There shall be no forgetfulness.
There will not be forgiving. There will not be forgetting. There may be forgiving. I am a man of honor.
I'm just going to take this gift horse and never look it in the mouth, ever.
There is no honor amongst mice.
I'm sorry.
We'll have a hangout on the Clone Wars.
My only thought on them reviving the Clone Wars is, okay, Disney, where do you want me to slice my lightsaber through? Because I'm going to kill you. I'm now giving you the choice of where.
Okay, so instead of you're giving them the choice of death instead of just killing them, where you choose probably the most painful.
You are giving them a merciful death.
Fuck you, Spike. You converted me so well in the ways of the Sith that I will join you in this quest.
Good.
Ison, you want to close this off?
I'm just going to say that maybe we should have a watch party, gentlemen. That's an option for that first episode of the new season.
Make it so.
I would have to watch all of the previous ones first.
On Netflix, I think still?
Yeah, it's on
It's on Netflix.
I'm debating whether or not to cancel Netflix.
Watch it, then cancel Netflix. There's your answer.
Because I don't want to deal with the Trayvon Martin story.
Oh my god. Oh yeah.
I'm just ignoring that.
Didn't do nothing.
Dear white people. We didn't do nothing! Anyways.
Open up a good box of didn't do's.
I think this is a great place to end. Spart, if you'd like to do the closing remarks stuff, I'll relinquish the reins finally back unto you.
No. I mean, this is your show this time. It's all on you.
Oh, well, then I'll just get closing remarks going left to right, beggar.
Oh, geez, what more I could say, just besides my quiet silence of all the world's craziness.
Bigfoot.
Good night.
Well said. Flippity plop.
The reason there are so many gay people now is because it's a chemical warfare operation. I have the government documents where they said they were going to encourage homosexuality with chemicals so people don't have children.
Well said.
That was good.
Seawall.
I was going to do an Alex Jones bit there, kind of more of a the gay frog shall rise like a phoenix, but nope. There's another animated series coming out, Young Justice Season 3. Trailer looks good, so keep an eye out for that too, guys.
And then we have Ed Boy.
I don't know what to say, to be honest.
You find yourself confused? Well, this must be the work of an enemy stand.
I wanted to do a Joe joke, but all I'm going to say is Ringo Road against Best Boy.
Acceptable. Spartacus.
I came into this late, and I leave it late. Time has no meaning when you're outside of it.
And Wandering.
Did you still control the world? Ray.
And for me, well, I'll just say, see ya, Space Cowboy.